So today we're talking about ransomware. I'm joined by Mark Kent from Kaspersky. Kaspersky are a global leader in cybersecurity solutions. Mark, thank you very much for joining me today. So let's get started. What do we mean by ransomware? What is it?
So ransomware, in its simplest terms, ransomware is a piece of malicious software that will look to infect your computer and display potentially messages demanding a fee to be paid in order for your system to work again. This class of malware is generally a criminal money-making scheme. They look to try and install it via deceptive links or attachments in email messages, via instant message, via websites, and has the ability to completely lock down a computer screen or encrypt important predetermined files with passwords you cannot then gain back. Typically, with ransomware, we look at it on average, it's around about £500 per ransom that they look for as a payment to get your files back. But generally, as a kind of larger figure, about 70% of all ransomware payment requests we see are generally under about £4,000 to £5,000. However, the problem being for a business is that this fee can be quite difficult to pay, but the average cost of a ransomware attack, due to repair costs that you have, due to lost revenue, due to the potential damage to your business brand, is on average around about £64,000. And so the additional cost that you get there is when you're going to be seeing the problems as a business. Other attacks, especially if they understand who the customer is that they've got access to, they can then directly try and ask for much more significant financial amounts. They're getting very, very clever in understanding who their customers are when they're attacking, who their targets are, profiling them correctly, and ensuring off the back of that they get as much money as they can to ensure that it's successful.
Okay, and how does the payment sort of work? Would you recommend people to pay the ransom, or is there different ways around it to protect against the ransomware attack?
So to me, to be honest, it's generally advocated to not pay a ransom. The problems being here is that by paying a ransom, you're actually funding their behaviors. You're giving them more money to then go and redevelop more stringent tools, better attack policies, to go and take on more people, but you're also labeling yourself as a target. They understand that if you make a payment, your name will effectively be written on a list somewhere that says, if we extort this company again, if we put enough constant pressure on this company, they are going to pay because they've done it before. So generally what you want to be doing is reach out to cybersecurity companies. Try and discuss with them if you have this instance and this problem. Try and see if they've got any assistance they can offer you. Try and look at, there's an initiative driven by the Dutch cybersecurity group initially, called More Ransom. And generally this is a group of cybersecurity companies as well as public and private businesses that have come together with law enforcement agencies to take the fight against ransomware. There are decrypted tools that are within there. It's not vast and it's not massive, but potentially you could be saving yourself some time there.
In your experience, what are the most common types of ransomware? Is it emails? Is it text messages? Is it links? Or
so generally we see two different types of ransomware. We see non-encrypting ransomware, which is also known as scareware. It's a very, very simple type of ransomware that you see, and it uses scare tactics to try and to intimidate you or try and trick victims into paying up. You may get lots of pop-ups saying antivirus is out of date, or law enforcement agencies have notified certain files or certain programs on your computer, pay this ransom because otherwise you're going to have problems. You also get the encrypting ransomware, and this is the types that are definitively looking and searching through your network to take certain file types to start encrypting them and make them effectively completely unusable to your business. And we see it through a multitude of ways. The two main different attack vectors we're seeing are via phishing and via compromised websites. You'll be getting a link to go to a set website that has been previously compromised that will then look to inject code into your network and then look to propagate a ransomware attack off the back of that. And these are kind of differing techniques that are currently being used, but where the threat landscape is changing to, we're seeing a huge rise in ransomware as a service. It's a full distribution channel for authors to actually offer their services to those that maybe aren't technically savvy enough to build these attack tools, to go and build ransomware campaigns themselves. And they do it on a cost basis. You can go and buy an off-the-shelf attack, go in, attack a victim base out there to then take it on. But we're also seeing a very blurred line in between ransomware groups themselves and data breaches. A lot of the very notorious ransomware groups out there are actively utilizing the tools they have, but then taking the data out the back of it and using that. They're building their own websites. They're building their own pages to say, we have exfiltrated data out of X company. And from there, what we're going to do is we're going to say, if you don't pay us this ransom, we're not going to encrypt your data, but we're going to release this. And it may be stolen data to sell to their competitors. It may be to attack their business partners. It may be to publicize certain dirty secrets that a business may have. They're going to put this out there and extract as much money as they can without causing that downtime of ransom.
So just to finish off, what would be your 3 top tips for protecting against ransomware, other than just download Kaspersky?
Yeah, otherwise than just download Kaspersky, use a reliable security suite. And that goes for the majority of security vendors that are out there. Use somebody that has a multi-layered approach to helping your defenses. We've got file-based ransomware. We've got fileless ransomware that's only hosted in memory now. Look to use tools such as hardening your endpoints, having vulnerability assessments to find known gaps within your network, exploit prevention tools to work alongside this to block these known vulnerabilities that are there. But you're also going to be looking at the slightly more in-depth stuff. You're going to need to know about automated remediation engines as a very last level in case something went wrong. To have behavioral detection techniques to understand malicious patterns that were in your network. These aren't pieces of ransomware, but they're malicious actions and behaviors that could show there may be further instances down the line, as well as potentially an EDR solution, an endpoint detection and response solution. This will enable security specialists to understand the entire sequence of what's happened and where the intruder's actions are on your network, and as such, go and hunt this in a correct manner. Your staff. Everybody kind of constantly, we're always talking about solutions and protection and the rest. The weakest part of a business is your staff. Ensure that where you can, share best practice with cybersecurity awareness training. Spend the time to show them what phishing emails look like, how they behave, how they could be socially engineered, what information should they share online. With the phishing emails that we're seeing at the moment, with information that you may have shared across different social networks that you have, they can utilize this as a very, very specific tool to get you to click on their links. COVID-19 is a huge example of this. Google alone in Gmail are blocking 255 million COVID-19 related emails a day. And the huge increase that we're seeing in here is exponential. Utilize email, phishing, and spam solutions to try and stop this before it gets into your employees' inboxes. Because if they don't see it in the first place, it saves them from having the issues further down the line. And finally, back up your data. I'm a huge advocate of backing your data as and when you can. Not every business can do it on an hourly basis. The majority should be able to do it on a daily basis, but do it how it fits best for your business practices. Should you actually experience a ransomware attack, your data will remain safe if it's securely stored off-site. Make sure you can have it on an external hard drive somewhere, a cloud-based service somewhere, that you can get it back in a feasible action for your business. That it's somewhere that's completely not connected to your network, so you can revert back to the previous versions of those files. And also test these backups. It's all well and good having a backup system and solution, but ensure that they're being backed up correctly and that you can actually roll back this in a correct manner. Develop an incident response plan to ensure that your company has specific policies as to how and when they're going to restore your data in the event of a ransomware attack, because the downtime is going to be where your cost is. Being able to get back up to speed as quickly as possible and effectively as possible is where you're going to be getting back up to full working speed.
Fantastic, some really good tips there. Well, Mark, thanks a lot for your time today. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, no, it's been great. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you for watching today's video. Be sure to keep following us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube for the daily video updates.